Bitcoin is crashing, but today I'm going to expose why this is all a part of Donald Trump's long-term plan and why he is having his own crypto token fall on the sword just so he can make sure that the US economy and the long-term outlook for Bitcoin is positive. Now, first, let's dive into how Donald Trump sees the overall market and why he is not interested in raising interest rates anytime soon. And he is doing this all to potentially force Jerome Powell to take interest rates down very quickly. Now, let's listen in.
In the meantime, guess what? Interest rates are down for the last 3-4 days at good levels. I mean, when you add interest rates, you're talking about it's gone down. I've been saying, let's get interest rates down. Nobody ever gets rich when the interest rates are high because people can't borrow money. Interest rates are going down. You know what else is going down? What have I been trying to get down?
Oil.
Energy. Energy's going down. I'd love to see energy go down. Energy is really what caused it. They screwed up my energy. I had the most energy.
So Donald Trump is really focusing on energy and the overall market when it comes to interest rates. But this is an outstanding tweet that breaks down why Donald Trump wants the market to crash in the short term. So let's walk it through step by step here and really break down why Donald Trump wants to see the short-term market go down. And that includes everything from Bitcoin on and even potentially hurting his initial rep as the first crypto president. So we have a $7 trillion debt that we need to pay in the next 6 months. If we don't, we'll have to refinance it. That is a big bill, folks. All right, that's $7 trillion that we need to do in 6 months. That's more than $1 trillion a month. Okay, so the Trump admin does not want to refinance at a 4% interest rate. So the 10-year yield was above 4.8 at one point in time, which means that the Trump administration would need to refinance at nearly a 5% interest rate for the 10-year yield. Okay, so how do we do that? We need to get that 10-year down. So we need to keep interest rates high. We need to do things like the tariffs. We need to cut spending like Doge. So how does the 10-year come down? Just like I said, the markets need to slow and show weakness and growth. The Doge has to be perceived as actually working for interest rates to come down. So the way to do that creates massive uncertainties, aka the tariffs, which can slow down the growth in the short term, get the bond market to start buying bonds ASAP because of how scared they are of touching the stocks, which causing yields to fall. So with all that, not only are we looking at stocks and everything else potentially falling, that means Bitcoin is going to fall. That means crypto is going to fall. Everything that is perceived as an asset, even the riskier ones, you're going to see them fall down more and more because Trump really wants those things to fall because of what we lined out here, right? We do have that 10-year yield sitting at 4.2%. So we are close to that 4% target, but it still needs to come down more, right? Still needs to come down more. So in order for that to come down more, we need to keep everything high. The market needs to crash. We need to see some sort of easing coming here, right? But Trump is very aware of what everybody's saying about the market. And he even gives a little bit of a warning here as to why we shouldn't be looking at the short-term volatility of the market. Don't take it from me. Let's listen in here to Donnie T himself.
Executive, and a lot of people said, oh, this is the business president. This is it. He's watching the stock market. He knows all about, he doesn't want the market to go down. And now we've got tariffs and the market has been going down.
Well, not much. I mean, in all fairness.
You said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have a 100-year perspective. We have a quarter We go by quarters.
That's true.
And you can't go by that. You have to do what's right. What we're doing is we're building a tremendous foundation for the future. Tremendous foundation. Everything's been taken away. We don't make ships anymore. We don't,
Donald
you know,
Trump
you
really
just saw one of the
laid
big
it out there himself, right? He's saying that, hey, look at this, right? We need to have a longer outlook on everything. China has a 100-year outlook. We look at everything in the short term, right? And that is the big issue. But in the short term, what does he want? He wants to lower interest rates. I mean, I showed you in the first clip, right? He said that, hey, I want interest rates to come down, and we need them to come down, right? But they're at odds. Jerome Powell and Donald Trump are not agreeing here, right? Look at the odds here. This is the next Fed meeting here that's taking place in 9 days. What is the probabilities for them to cut? There's a 95% chance that they have no change and a 5% chance of a slight cut, 25 basis point cut. So Donald Trump is utilizing this market downturn to try to force the hand of Jerome Powell, right? He's intentionally, potentially crashing the market because we're seeing all these headlines here, right? There's chaos in the market. Wall Street pros weigh in on the market sell-off under Trump's tariff war. Everybody is blaming the tariffs as the issue here, but in reality, we haven't had inflation come down. Inflation is still very high, and so we're at odds currently. What do? We are tariffing everything because everything has gone overseas. So in the long term, this is better for the United States to bring everything back aboard. But what are we doing in the short term? We're having to tariff everything. And if you look at it, right, it's been a brutal start to March. Markets reversed their Trump-driven euphoria following the president's recent tariff war escalation and fears over slower economic growth. So the S&P 500, it's very tech-heavy. They've erased their post-election gains while entering correction territory last week after falling 10% for its record high. Now, if you look at everything as well, these tariffs are not just affecting the S&P 500, they're affecting the crypto industry as well. That includes Bitcoin, right? So the Trump's tariff threat sends crypto price falling, including his own meme coin, right? So I think that, Trump made his meme coin fall on its sword, but, the prospect of a trade war between the U.S. and its majority trading partners with some well-known digital assets, right? The Bitcoin assets are falling from about 105,000 to what are we sitting at here now, folks? We're under 80,000 now. So we're falling, a good 20-25%. But look, this is no different than what we normally see in a Bitcoin cycle, right? Everybody gets all worried about these short-term movements that we're seeing, right? I mean, I got a phone call from a friend today. He was asking, hey, I bought at 100. Now what are we doing? I'm down, right? Don't invest what you can't stomach, right? Bitcoin's a savings account. It's a perfect savings account, right? For long-term things. So I think that you guys need to look at what's going on in the overall market too, because the overall market, and at the end of the day, everything is all correlated, right? So Trump's tariffs, what he is doing abroad, it's all bringing everything together. And these tariff concerns have been around for a while, right? We've seen the March prices crash here recently, but this article is from February 3rd here. Bitcoin crypto stocks sink on concerns over impact in Trump's tariffs. So we're not going to go just up and to the right all the time, right? We're not going to continue to do that. We're going to see a lot of slowing coming down in this short term. And because of these tariffs, we're waiting on seeing if the 10-year yield can get below that 4% mark because of what this guy, Amit Trading, lined out here. We've got $7 trillion worth of debt. So we have a lot of work to do initially, right? We have to get this number down. We have to pay it off in the next 6 months. So that's over $1 trillion worth of debt every single month that Doge needs to do. And we need to have faith in Doge, right? So once there's more increasing faith in Doge, what is going on here, what the potential for these Trump tariffs can be, and bringing more manufacturing here back to the United States, we will see prices and everything else start to increase. And what is the most liquid market on the planet? The one that trades 24/7, 365. That's Bitcoin, folks. Right? And what did we just see happen? We saw Trump and the overall US economy give validity to Bitcoin and say Bitcoin is different than every other crypto. They might even sell off other cryptocurrencies in order to buy Bitcoin, but they're just going to keep the seized other cryptos, right? So we have to continue to see that increase, right? We have to see the faith in these Trump tariffs to continue. Bitcoin and stocks, Trump's rolled out these 25% tariffs on goods, along with a new 10% tax on Chinese products, right? So everything in the short term looks to be bearish because of this. But, right, there is a positive here on this long term. Why Trump tariffs could be a huge win for the US economy and Bitcoin, right? So everybody's freaking out in the short term, but in reality, these things will be a positive here going forward. So let's read in and dive into a little bit of this article, right? So Bitcoin and the crypto markets tanked as Trump announced tariffs to China, Canada, and Mexico. While markets are panicking, contrarian views is emerging that shows how Trump's tariffs will boost the American economy and skyrocket the value of Bitcoin, right? So they announced these tariffs a little bit over a month ago over these concerns, and they've justified and doubled down on these tariffs since then, right? So we'll see the biggest crypto sell-off, and we'll probably see a lot more of these headlines here pretty soon, folks. The reality is Bitcoin is absolutely crushing, right? We're saying Bitcoin crashed below 80,000. Let's revisit that point here, folks. Let's remember, zoom out, because we're saying that Bitcoin has crashed to below 80,000. 6 months ago, Bitcoin was sitting just at 60,000. So all you got to do is just hodl, as the kids say at home. Keep the positivity and everything go forward, because, when you see this, the fear and greed index, I love to look at this because it always gives me a good kind of, gauge on the market, right? Like, we have to see what is actually going on here, right? We have to see if it's not just Ben in the chat saying in Doge we trust. We have to see if everybody actually trusts what is going on here, right? We have to see if it's if, like my man, our own trauma is saying, if it doesn't go to 0, then it's going to 1,000,000. Exactly, right? We have to see just how everybody is playing it out here, what all these things are looking at. So with this fear and greed index, we've gone from fear to even more fear to even more fear to extreme fear, and it's just keep going down, right? Why are people just getting fearful? Well, in the short term, like we're saying, it's these tariffs, right? But Trump is also hurting his own bags. So he's a businessman. We saw his own meme coin fall down dramatically throughout this. We saw it jump off a cliff. But remember, we need to get this 10-year yield down. We need to get it to below 4%. So this will create massive market uncertainties. So although conventional wisdom says tariffs are inflationary and the 10-year should be spiking on more tariffs, it's actually going down because it's bringing so much uncertainty to the equity markets that people are selling and buying bonds. So, which is exactly what the Trump administration wants to happen in the short term in order to bring refinancing costs down. So, this is actually the goal of what the Trump administration wants, right? The Trump administration wants the market to crash in order to force people to buy bonds because everybody has just been, the 60/40 portfolio has been dead, folks. Let's be honest here. Who's buying bonds? Are you guys in the chat buying bonds? I highly doubt it, right? As my man Ben is saying, stack cheap sats. A month from now, you'll forget about all of it. Exactly. Like nobody our age or younger or is even close to buying bonds. And in fact, I know older people who are not even really boomers who are getting well aware from just getting bonds, right? And like Matthew J is saying, dominance, Bitcoin dominance is soaring 75% about excluding stablecoins from digitally fiat. Wow. So look at that. Bitcoin dominance continuing to run here. So it is going to continue to run. And just because it continues to run here, folks, I'm going to give you guys some free sats. My friends over at the Bitcoin Well keep loading me up because they love these live streams. They're like, hey, Brandon, I see so many people coming into these chats. Why don't we give them all some free sats? Some of the candies, the green candle fans, the green candle faithful here. So get your Lightning wallets out, folks, and let's get some free sats. Let's see. You could win up to 1 million sats here. That could be absolutely great. All right. We got 210 sats here. So I'm helping you guys out. So somebody quickly scan that here and get those free sats because that could be generational wealth here at some point in time. Look, it's not generational wealth now. I know we all are thinking that. But if you are looking to continue to buy Bitcoin and stack cheap sats, you can go to bitcoinwell.com/green candle and continue to do that. They'll give you Bitcoin in this Bitcoin Well every single time you buy Bitcoin. You go in here, bitcoinwell.com/green candle. You'll sign up here with the email. They'll give you some wishing well tokens. And then every time you buy Bitcoin, you will be actually being able to stack more and more sats. And do it quick, folks, because the Trump administration is looking at this in the short term. Like I said, it's short-term pain for a long-term gain here. Just like my man is saying, short-term pain, for long-term gain. So I think that everything in the end is going to be very bullish for Bitcoin. We're going to see this absolutely take off, but in the short term, we're seeing, those red candles come out, right? It's not something we exactly like to see, but hey, you know what? We can't get just up and to the right. It can't be that easy. If it was that easy, everybody would be all on Bitcoin immediately, right? Beachy said Trump never said he was going to buy Bitcoin. That is true. But they said that they were going to find ways to not cost taxpayer money to obtain more Bitcoin. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the U.S. is going to start mining Bitcoin, finding, green energy ways to mine Bitcoin? Trump has really made a huge push on energy. Is that something he's going to do? Right? Now, who knows at this point on what that exactly means, but does make me optimistic here. MC Chili says, my first Bitcoin faucet gave me 2 million sats in 2011. Wow, man, those were the days. Hey, those aren't around that much anymore, but there are some great Bitcoin faucets. Coming to the Green Candle live stream chat can be one of your Bitcoin faucets here, because my friends at the Bitcoin Well keep on giving me some free sats to hand out to you guys. So yes, like I said, right, there's a lot of things crashing, but everybody's got eyes on this chart right here. The 10-year treasury yield, right? We need to get this thing under 4% in order to get this thing to take off. And I think that's going to be coming soon. Now, one of my favorite things about all of this, interacting with all of you guys, is actually getting to meet a lot of you in person. If you guys are down in Tampa Bay or would like to come and visit me and my friends in Tampa Bay, we've got the Sound Money Soiree paired up with Bitcoin Day, where we're going to be doing some great events, have a conference for the entire day, and then a black tie event. You could bring your chicas out there, boys and girls. I know my buddy Luke Mikic, they won't let him into the actual country, the US. I wouldn't let him in either. I wouldn't have given him a visa, and he'd have a hard time finding a date for this. But I know all you guys in the chat, I know you guys can find a date for this. So come to this black tie event. You can go to Bitcoin Day and the Sound Money Soiree. I'm giving you 10% off at this link. Or if you just want to come to the Sound Money Soiree, the black tie event, you're saying, hey, I hear enough of Brandon talking, but I want to go show my chica a nice night out with some Bitcoiners. You can go to either one of these links here in the chat and go buy yourself a ticket. Go and do that. Like I said, I have faith all of you guys can find dates. My friend Luke Mikic, I know, could not find a date to save his life. He's tried multiple times to pay girls. He tells them how much Bitcoin he has. I wouldn't recommend doing that. But hey, when you get desperate, sometimes you got your guys absolutely clamming out there. And sometimes it'd be your own homies. Sad day to see that. But outside of just meeting you guys in person, there is chaos going on here, right? There is some wildness going on here. We're seeing chaos all over the charts, not just in Bitcoin, folks. MC Chillin is saying, I thought he had trouble with whales hunting him. That is true. But there's no whales allowed at the Sound Money Soiree. So, Tampa is not a place where we really accept that. I'm just kidding. Hopefully we can find them. Hopefully we don't have too many whales chasing Luke during all of this craziness. But yes, they do have that. Now, if Luke does a live stream here soon, for those of you guys who are who go to both of our live streams, make sure to spam his chat and say put some whale emojis in there for him next time. And this guy, what is his name here? Fear LSA says, I love when BC crashes. I'm sure you mean Bitcoin here. Makes my bag bigger. Exactly. Right? Everything is crashing. Everybody's like, hey, there's so much chaos. But it's, a good buying opportunity. Like I said, I'm not the only crazy person looking at it this way. When everybody gets, as my man Warren Buffett says, right? He hates Bitcoin. But one thing he does say is when everybody gets fearful, that's when you get greedy. And look at this fear and greed index. Everybody is fearful right now, folks. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Smoke the like Cheech and Chong, as my man All Nighter Hider always says. Hit the subscribe button. Oh, there he is. All Nighter Hider, all joining in here. So smoke it like Cheech and Chong. Hit the subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And thank you guys all for tuning in. And if you missed out the beginning, the explanation, turn back to the beginning. Watch this whole thing through where I explain why Trump is intentionally crashing the market and potentially having his own coin fall on the sword to do so, but also having Bitcoin doing that as well. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all at the next one.